Hey, what's going on everybody out there? I'm Jakejames Lugo and welcome to the channel. Now I want to talk about something that happened a few days ago, but I didn't get to talk about it when it was still fresh on everybody's mind. But I still think that these topics are very, very important and very key to some big discussions we should be having in the games industry. It's related to some news that happened a few days ago to COG Connected. It was an indie gaming website that actually reports and does reviews on video games very similar to the Koalition.com as well as any other website that you find on the internet. But there was some stuff that happened there that really kind of, got under my nerves, and I really felt that it was important to talk about. So let me preface this entire vlog by saying, dear indie developers, or dear game developers, dear game publishers, it can be extended to either indie or AAA out there. It's an open letter to everybody that's involved within the gaming industry. Let's talk about this notion of games media and publishers and developers constantly clashing with each other in a variety of different ways. I think that now over the last few years, in the wake of stuff like Gamergate and what's been going on a lot with the media, both in political journalism and other stuff not related to gaming explicitly, there's this real distrust of the games media. Whether it's justified or not, there's a number of different reasons why this is the case. A lot of the stuff happening with games media specifically seems to be happening that there's this weird notion that the gaming media is corrupt, that the gaming media accepts underhanded deals and accepts different varying degrees of corruption, quote unquote, in order to give positive press to different games that come out, different publishers, different game developers here and there. But it's never really talked about on the flip side of that, where there should be some sort of responsibility put on the game developers or the game publishers when they're working with the games media. I'm not saying that any one side is wrong here or there. I really think that a lot of the accusations that are put out there on the internet are greatly overblown, greatly exaggerated, and very unjustified in more than one way. But there's one thing that happened a few days ago that I really want to put more light on, even though a lot of people have already talked about it at this point. It happened with COG Connected, and it happened in relation to this developer, this publisher called Deadfly Interactive. They have this game, again, I'm paraphrasing from the article that they actually posted up, okay, for Dead Effect 2. It's this kind of shooter that has a little bit of zombies and stuff thrown in the mix. It's for PC. It looks very generic at first glance. And that in and of itself is not important to the situation. What I do feel is important to what's been going on lately, or at least what I've been seeing over the last few years in the wake of all these big news pieces and things that are happening all over the place, is this idea of the actual publisher or the developer threatening to revoke review copies or threatening to revoke access to covering their games in exchange for positive press. That is a huge, huge problem. And it's a little bit different than what a lot of people have been accusing media outlets for the longest time. A lot of people have thrown accusations about different media outlets like Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot, Giant Bomb, Game Trailers at some point. All these different outlets saying that they're corrupt because they get ads and because they make money off the ads on their website for different games, that they have to give certain games positive reviews in order to not only get the clicks from those views, but also to get review copies and the access to those games to report on them and also to make content for them. That's what a lot of the accusations from all different types of people on the internet, Twitter, Facebook, social media, different forums and stuff, you see that all over the place. But nobody ever really talks about when a developer or a publisher, again, PR, whatever have you, okay, kind of threatens another outlet with revoking their coverage, revoking that access to their content in order, or again, to their games in order to make content for the audience. Nobody ever really talks about that. And when it does happen, I feel like in more than one way, everybody, or at least a good number of people, give this a pass, where they're kind of either okay with that because they feel it's within their right to do so, and in some cases it's within their right to revoke access to whatever outlet they have. But to outright threaten someone, or at least use that as leverage against a specific outlet for whatever reason, whether you want positive coverage for your game, or you just want people to generally feel positive about what your game's doing, or again, any sort of customers that are going to be picking up your game within the next month or so whenever it's released and such, that's a huge, huge problem. And I don't think anybody should be okay with that. And here's the other thing too. With COG Connected specifically, they whistleblowed on this. It wasn't just them that got this. This was a mass email sent out from the publisher to a whole bunch of different outlets that might be reviewing the game. Basically, the wording from it, and again, I'm paraphrasing from the actual email here, which I'll probably show on screen. Let me just mention one thing. This is coming from Badfly Interactive themselves in the email. Let me just say one thing. This is an indie game which unfortunately is very often compared with big budget games, and that's quite a problem and very much damages its reputation in final ratings. Please take into consideration the fact that this game was created by a small team of developers, one who just tried to develop a good shooter game, and that's about it. Unfortunately, a number of journalists have other much bigger expectations from it, and that's very damaging to us eventually. Also, we're working on several other games that are definitely interesting, and if your review or preview of Dead Effect 2 is very negative, you won't receive any keys from us in the future. That right there is clear as day. Again, there's like almost no kind of speculation about that. There's a huge amount of intent behind that, saying, listen, give us positive coverage, be positive about our game, and we'll reward you. If not, we'll pretty much punish you by not giving you access to our future games. That's as about black and white as you could get about this issue as, there ever will be. Again, COG Connected, I gotta give him a little bit of props for whistleblowing on that, because I could kind of relate to this a little bit. I've had something like this happen to me in the past, where I reviewed a game and I was very honest about it. It was a game that I reviewed last year. Again, I'll probably have a link in the description box below to you guys, as well as also to this article I'm referencing, where I reviewed the game and I said a bunch of things about it that I felt I had to be critical about, because I don't believe a game that you pay money for, whether it's on home consoles or on PC and stuff, should be so easy to crash or be so frequently crashed on your system when you're trying to play it. The game I was actually reviewing, it crashed about 5 times, if I remember by my count. It was a lot. Okay, it was noticeable enough that really kind of dampens my experience. And I was open about that, and I said that in my review, as well as a bunch of other things. And the publisher and the PR firm that actually hit us up, both myself and my editor-in-chief, Richard Bailey Jr. from the Koalition.com, asking us and almost demanding us to change the review or have somebody else review it, because they felt it was too harsh, that they felt that I was being untruthful. Yet, despite that being the case, I was openly honest about how I felt about the game when I was experiencing it. They wanted me to not talk about the amount of times that the game had crashed. And I felt like that was very not only disrespectful to me and also to the Koalition, but also indicative of the same problem that I'm talking about. Why is it that it's okay almost for a publisher or developer or whatever else to be kind of, again, have this type of like power or looming threat over media outlets, and yet the media outlets, who aren't even really doing stuff like what a lot of people are accusing them for, have to get the shaft in all this. It's just really ridiculous to me, like, how this can be okay. Like, I just don't agree with that. I think it's wrong. I think it's not fair. It's a double standard with a lot of stuff that's been going on lately in gaming over the last year or so. I mean, everybody wants to make a big deal about ethics and journalism and stuff, but it's not just about ethics and journalism on just a one-way street. It's a two-way street. There needs to be good ethics, there needs to be good morals, and there needs to be good professional practice on both sides of the equation. One of the things I want to kind of put out there, and the reason why I call this Dear Indie Developers, or Dear Developers and Publishers in general, is because I want to make sure it's very clear, not only as someone that's been part of the gaming industry for a while now, I'm going on about 6-7 years now doing this type of stuff. Again, working from the bottom, having almost nothing in here, and now I'm working for the Koalition and doing stuff, hopefully one day going to another outlet. The thing is that I want to make very clear to all of you guys, again, publishers, developers, indie or AAA or otherwise, is that the media is not out to get you. The media is not out to ruin your jobs. The media is not out to kind of rain in on your parade. We're there not only as a symbiotic relationship to talk about your games and stuff, whether it be positive or negative press and such, but we're there because we also love games as much as you do. One of the things that they even mentioned in the article here, and it actually happened a little bit later on, I remember, that they came out and they apologized and stuff, and they said that because, there wasn't a lot of people over there that spoke true English, like that, they weren't fluent in English, they were fluent in a different language, that they didn't really understand what they were trying to convey and stuff. And I call total BS on that, because even though, there's a difference in languages and stuff, there's a clear understanding, or almost a universal understanding of what one's intent might be. In this case, no matter how you translate some of that email, even if it's not direct English, or at least directly translated into English, you could get a clear idea of what they were thinking, of what they wanted to convey to the people that they were sending that email to. And no matter how you slice it, it's straight up wrong, and it's not fair, and it's kind of messed up. I mean, the funny thing is like, people that have this type of mindset, whether it's publishers, developers, people on the outside, consumers, people that just follow the gaming industry and stuff, would point to examples like Jim Sterling, or to Total Biscuit, or to any other people out there that are very harsh with their criticism of games, and very kind of, open and blunt in how they actually criticize video games out there. whether it's previews or reviews and stuff, and they'd say it's like, oh, well, you know, they have these types of people that do these types of things that really are kind of unfair to developers and publishers like that. And I call total BS on that as well. I don't think that it's bad to be critical of a game, whether it's harsh or not, especially if you have the supporting info to back you up. It's a very subjective thing, obviously. You know, a lot of publishers, I'm pretty sure, are not happy sometimes when Jim Sterling criticizes their game. But you can't deny the fact that he has a lot of supporting info with how he feels about those games and how he actually conveys his opinions in his Jimquisition and his written reviews and such. You might not like the man's opinions, but you do have to respect the man's opinions for that matter. But at the same time, that doesn't mean necessarily you have to threaten one outlet or threaten Jim or threaten me or anybody else like that's part of games media, just on the simple fact that you don't like their opinion about your game. Again, this one here saying that if you don't put positive previews for Dead Effect 2 or positive previews for their games that you're not going to get access to other games, it's like, okay, I mean, that doesn't sound fair, but at the same time, it's like we don't have to cover your games like that as well. Granted, it doesn't matter the size of your game. It doesn't matter whether you're a AAA publisher or an indie publisher for that matter, whether you have millions of sales for your game or you only have a couple hundred sales of your game. It's not fair to come out and say that you want positive press for your game in order to allow access for the game that we as the media are trying to cover and stuff. Us as media, again, we want to talk about your games, whether it's positive or negative. We want to talk about your games because we are curious about it. We want to tell people about them, especially if they're awesome and stuff. We want to tell people, hey, listen, there's this awesome game that we just previewed or reviewed. Go buy it. Go check it out for yourself because we're highly recommending this. Or avoid this, but go check out something else. Again, all press is good press, whether it's positive or negative. You could get into a very gray area and get into a whole other discussion about what is actually valid and the type of info that you present with your argument, you know, as far as like supporting facts and ways to back up your opinion. That gets into a whole nother discussion. But what we're really talking about is not only professionalism here, but we're also talking about the symbiotic relationship between the publishers in the game industry and the media in the game industry. Again, this same type of thing could be applied to all forms of journalism, and I know a lot of people are very hostile about journalism now these days, understandably so in the world that we live in now, but still, if we're just looking at the games industry like that, the media is not out to get the publishers. The media is not out to ruin the businesses of the publishers or the game developers that are out there. And at the same time, the game publishers and the game developers shouldn't be out so antagonistically so to get the games media, or at least to stick it to the games media like this, whether it's through threats, whether it's through denial of access, or anything else like that. It should be a symbiotic relationship because we're all part of the game industry. Now, anyway, guys, that's just my opinions on the matter. Again, this is an open letter, open thoughts to any indie devs or any AAA devs that might be out there. Again, I feel like this was such like a blatant thing that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And again, like I said earlier, they did apologize for it, but it's still, the intent is clearly there. And I think it's something that should be called out and should be hammered in to everybody that's part of the industry. This is not okay. This is not good. If you're going to call foul on the games media like that, or you're going to call foul on anybody else on the games media or the games publishing side or anybody part of the games industry, you have to look at it from all facets. You have to be able to call everything out that's bad on all facets and all parts of the equation. So either way, guys, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Share this with your favorite indie devs. Share this with your favorite developers, AAA, if that's out there. Share it with anybody else that you know that loves following stuff in the games industry or anything else that's involved with gaming. Leave me a like on this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel if you can. I have a ton of videos here on the YouTube channel related to gaming and a whole bunch of other cool topics. Don't forget to check out my Twitch stream when you guys can. I'm streaming almost every day on Twitch TV, playing so many different games. I played Ruby not too long ago. I'm actually reviewing that for the Koalition.com. Played it on PlayStation 4 and finished it in a single night, 4-player co-op. That was pretty fun. I also posted up my review of Yakuza 0 not too long ago. Definitely check that out. Links are in the description box below. I will talk to all of you again very soon. Peace out. Stay epic, everybody.